quicker than expected. We'll open the hearing on 462. Adam.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Senate Bill 462 would authorize the Director of Vehicles to waive the skills test requirements for a commercial driver's license for applicants that qualify for a knowledge test waiver under the Military Even Exchange Program. Under the Kansas Uniform Commercial Driver's License Act, currently it requires that the applicant for a Kansas CDL be a resident of Kansas, pass a knowledge and skills test that complies with federal standards for driving a commercial motor vehicle. The Director of Vehicles may currently waive the skills test for an applicant who provides evidence of military commercial vehicle driving experience. Under Senate Bill 462, the bill would authorize the Director of Vehicles to additionally waive the skills test for applicants who provide evidence that they qualify for a knowledge test waiver under the Military Even Exchange Program. The Military Even Exchange Program allows a military member to exchange a military license for a CDL and waive the knowledge test if they have certain occupational specialty or classification from their military service and qualify for the military skills test waiver. And with that, I'd be happy to stand for any questions.
Committee questions? Seeing none, thank you. Well, committee, I scheduled this bill on the day of the Kansas Motor Carriers Association big event, Trucking Day at the Capitol, so our testimony is only written from Deanne Williams. Is there anyone else here wishing to testify? Kent Selt, welcome to the committee.
Thank you, Chairman and members of the committee. I'm Kent Selt, Driver Services Manager for the Kansas Division of Vehicles. We're a proponent of Senate Bill 462. This does allow military individuals to waive the knowledge and skills test if they are in the appropriate program with the military. We currently try to assist them as much as we can. Military skills waivers for also individuals who have left the military. That's kind of the one we do now, where they can come in and forego the skills test, but they still have to take a knowledge test. This one is for people to forego both because they've gone through the proper training.
Committee questions for Kent? Senator Corson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Really just a comment. I appreciate you having this hearing on this bill. I view this legislation as kind of a workforce bill in the sense of it's going to, we've heard and we've tried to address in other ways that we can get both spouses of military members and military members hopefully staying in Kansas and in our workforce more quickly. We've done some things on licensing and things like of that nature, but I think this is kind of in that same vein where we're trying to get these folks into the Kansas workforce as quickly as possible and hopefully keep them in our state when they leave the military. So I very much appreciate the bill and appreciate you having the hearing.
Thanks, sir.
Committee further questions? Senator Reddy.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I do believe this is a workforce necessity. Does this also apply to their spouses or dependents or anybody else? I don't know if they would have similar background in this.
Yeah, it would not. This is actually because they're being trained through the military at the base. Spouses or children they will not be there, so they would not apply to them.
Okay. Yeah, I think I was thinking of like a reciprocity program. If a spouse had a similar license somewhere else, if it would transfer.
It would depend. So if they're a CDL license holder in another state, obviously it would transfer, but it would not transfer through the military. They'd have to actually be in active duty and have the same one. So they would have to be in the military, I guess is what I'm saying.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Yep, you're welcome.
Any further questions? Seeing none, thank you. And Ken, if you would submit some written to our...
Yeah, I thought I've done that, but I've not. I will send it to you. I'll get it sent as soon as I get back to the office.
Excellent.
Yep.
Thank you very much.
You bet.
Appreciate you stepping up. Are there any further proponents? Any neutrals? Any opponents? Seeing none, we'll close the hearing on Senate Bill 462 and open the hearing on Senate Bill 426.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Senate Bill 426 would increase the penalties when an authorized vehicle is stopped and a driver approaches. Currently, under current law, and this is pretty standard for any move over type of law, the drivers who are approaching are required to either, if the driver of the motor vehicle is traveling on a highway that consists of at least 2 lanes that carry traffic in the same direction of travel as that of the driver's motor vehicle, the driver shall proceed with due caution and, if possible, with due regard to the road, weather and traffic conditions, shall change lanes into a lane that is not adjacent to that of the stationary authorized emergency vehicle, so essentially change lanes. Or the other alternative, if the driver is not traveling on a highway of the type described in paragraph 1, so essentially a 1-lane road or 2-lane road, but 1 lane in each direction, and it's not possible to change lanes, or if due would be to be unsafe, the driver shall proceed with due caution, reduce the speed of the motor vehicle, and maintain a safe speed for the road, weather, and traffic conditions. This is current law. Essentially, the change in this bill would be pursuant to Senate Bill 426. The penalties would be increased. So if there would be no injury or bodily or death, the fine would be increased from $195 to $400. If the violation results in an injury or great bodily harm to a person operating the authorized emergency vehicle as a fire department, police, or ambulance, this would result in a severity level person 6 felony and a fine of not less than $1,000. If the violation results in death to a person that operating the authorized emergency vehicle as a fire department, police, or ambulance, this would result in a severity level 4 person felony and a fine of not less than $7,500. And with that, I'd be happy to stand for any questions.
Any questions for Adam? Adam, is there a companion bill to this coming to the House?
Mr. Chair, to be honest with you, I don't know. I'm just not aware at this point. I apologize. I can look into that.
Thank you. Committee further, Walter.
Yes, Walter Schmidt, KLRD. Yes, there is a companion bill. It is HB 2679.
Has it made it through the process over there?
Let me ask real quick.
Or at least to the... While you're looking that up, we'll take a question from Senator Tyson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for the overview. Was this the legislation that they talked about? It was creating another statute so that it would be in, there's other penalties listed in one area of the statute, and then this is creating another section, and they were concerned about the penalties not covering all offenses.
That was 476. The speeding bill will probably be working tomorrow.
Okay, I do have, okay, thank you. I wanted to make sure it wasn't this bill. Thank you,
Okay.
Mr. Chairman.
Further questions for Adam? See none, thank you. Oh, and we'll go back to Walter.
Yes, Mr. Chair, thank you. That was actually for 462. I switched the numbers, 462, 426.
Okay, thank
Early on a
you.
Monday morning.
I've done that twice this morning myself. Thank you, Adam. First up, we have Ed Klump. Welcome back to the committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, committee members. Good Monday morning to you. Ed Klump, representing the Kansas Sheriff's Association, Kansas Association of Chiefs of Police, Kansas Peace Officers Association. Whew, almost ran out of breath on that one. We are supportive of this bill. As you know, working on the highways and the roadways is one of the common areas where we do our work, and these hazards are real. And we've seen even recently some pretty extensive examples of that with the Highway Patrol. I think they had a police K-9 killed here recently with one of these accidents. And so it seems to us that these increases in the penalties are valid and are consistent. We noticed that, or I noticed anyway, when I travel around the country, a lot of states have signs posted of much more severe penalties for these violations when death or injury occurs than what Kansas has. So I think this brings us consistency with some of the other states as well. Mr. Chairman, there's 2 things I want to point out in the bill. Page 2, lines 8 and 9, and on line 14, it appears to us that possibly law enforcement officer has been listed twice in those places, and firefighters have not been listed. And so might just want to check that before you work the bill. And the other thing I have a question on that I'd like to ask that the committee check on is in the amendment in Section 2, where it changes the subsection in 1530. It's on page 4 of the bill, line 33. I just want to be sure. Is there another place in this where subsection B has a penalty for when no injury or no fatality occurs? I didn't find it, but I'm not certain. So if not, then we might inadvertently remove the penalty for violating subsection B by that change there, just listing A in a situation where there is no injury or no fatality. So I just want to make sure that's right in there. And I know the revisor will figure that out for us, whether it needs changed or not. So with that, Mr. Chairman, I'll stand for questions.
Committee questions. Senator Tyson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Who brought us this legislation? If they're concerned about it.
I believe it was introduced by Senator Clays. I'm not sure. Further questions for Mr. Klump? Seeing none, looks like you'll be able to make your other committee testimony.
Thank you.
Next up, we have Wendy Stark. I think she's going to be written, proponent written only. Are there anyone else wishing to testify? As a proponent? Any neutrals? Any opponents? Seeing none, we'll close the hearing on Senate Bill 426. Committee, it is my intention to take a look at this bill and Senate Bill 476 tomorrow. I know there's some amendment being drafted for one of them, and this one has some stuff that may need to be looked at. So is there any further business to come before the committee? We are adjourned.